Hi, I'm April.
And I'm Bayleigh.
We are real-life friends and neighbors.
Together we run a business called Passionist Designs.
Our favorite part of our job is being in people's homes and hearing their stories. As we became inspired by these stories, we wanted to share them with others. That's where the Nestled podcast was born.
So join us each week as we are encouraged to pursue our own design decisions based on what we love instead of what fills our Instagram feed. Every home has a story, and we can't wait to hear yours.
Hey, April.
Hey everybody.
Hey, everybody. April and I are actually not together.
Yeah, we're quarantined in our own houses.
3 houses down the street from each other, but via Skype. So, hello over there. Hope everyone is surviving.
We're glad that you're not seeing us on video call right now because we look like we've been taking care of kids that have had the flu.
That is true. We also, even if we did not have children with the flu, like everyone else in America also has children with the flu. Even if we didn't have that going on at our houses, it is way too cold. Neither of us could have walked to each other's houses tonight anyway.
we Alabama girls are not made for this.
It's going to be snowing at our houses any minute, and it's the second time we'll have snow this winter, which is just insane. So
it really is a crazy world that we're living in.
Yes.
I feel like I'm like in some kind of post-apocalyptic state where things are out of control.
I know. Our 5-year-old actually said to us today, whenever she heard us talking about snow, she said, but it hasn't been a long time, because we told her when it snowed last time, it'll be a long time before it snows again.
Enjoy it. It never snows.
She said, it hasn't been a long time. I'm like, you're right, it hasn't. This is crazy. But anyway.
But here we are. Taking off of school again.
That's right. No school tomorrow. Works out for me because that just means I have a helper nurse, my husband. So.
Yes.
Anyway, so what are you guys loving this week while you're stuck inside your house?
Well, we, after Christmas, decided that we were going to get an Instapot with some Christmas money from my parents. And we found it's a knockoff one from Costco. It was on sale, and so we bought it. And it has been my best friend today. Actually, I cooked a roast for my family in 1 hour. And I've been, looking up all the recipes on Pinterest to learn how to make things. Anyway, I can't even act like I've made 2 things, but the 2 things that I've made were very easy. Yes. And so if it's easy, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's even halfway good. If it's easy, then it wins in my book. And so that is my go-to right now.
Yes.
So
we also have one of those, and I've used it twice, and it was wonderful, but will admit I've not done enough research, and I'm scared it's going to explode.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, I told my kids multiple times as it was cooking today, you are not allowed in the kitchen because I'm afraid it's going to blow the top off and explode on them, because I feel like the top doesn't close hard enough.
Right.
And so, I don't know. I'm still real skeptical about that because, you see all the people who their
on
child.
On Facebook, yep.
Yeah.
Did you see a little girl who was burned from anyway?
Yes.
Bad.
Yeah. Too much.
Too,
and so I'm you're not allowed in the kitchen while the Instapot is on.
Yes. But once I do proper research, maybe I'll feel better about it. I don't know. We got to work on that. Okay, so what I'm loving while we're stuck in our house is it's actually something that we got our kids for Christmas. It's called the Big and Little Coloring Devotional, and it is a super cute coloring book, and it opens up long ways. I'll show you, April, on the video. It opens up long ways, so one side is for the kids, and it's a bigger, bubbly picture, and then the other side is for the adults, and it's an adult coloring page. And they have little devotionals on there, too. But we bought 2 of them, one for each of our girls, because they fight over everything. We didn't want them to fight over this. And so I'll take one of the girls, and Justin will take one of the girls, and then we each color at the same time. And they love that.
Oh, look how pretty. Yeah, that's fun.
So we'll link to that. The devotionals are written by Rachel C. Swanson, and it's illustrated by J.C. Corral, maybe? Corral. But anyway, we'll link to it. I'm loving that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
very cool.
All right. So today we are talking to Annie Persinger, and she is someone local to us who we've enjoyed getting to know recently. And she runs a shop on Instagram called the Fellowshop.
Yeah.
And uses her proceeds to support local orphan ministries.
Yes. So it's been really cool to get to hear from Annie and to hear the things that she's passionate about. And I love that just to ask her, hey, Annie, what do you love? She's so quick to be able to share what her passions are. And so for me, that was really cool. And I think everybody's going to really enjoy hearing from her because I think it's obvious that she loves the least of these. So
here's Annie.
Hey, Annie, how are you?
Good. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. We're
We're
so
good.
glad to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
To get us started, can you just tell us about yourself and your family?
Yes, I can. So I was born and raised in Mobile. I have 5 siblings, so there were 6 of us growing up. And so our house was always active and full of food and laundry and people. I went to Auburn.
War Eagle.
And yes, War Eagle. And that's where I met my husband. After we were finished with school, we got married, and we've been married 8 years now. And we have 4 children. Their ages are 11 months, 4, 6, and 7. So we are busy.
Yes, you are.
A house full. So you moved from a house with a lot of laundry and mess to a house with a lot of laundry and mess, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly. I don't think I would know what to do if there wasn't always, some type of loading in the washer and the dryer at the same time. I mean, it's always going, always.
Hey, let me ask you a really personal question.
Just to kick things off.
Do you automatically switch your clothes from the washer to the dryer, or do you often rewash your clothes in the washer multiple times?
Oh, yeah. So I have probably washed the same load 6 or 7 times. No kidding. But now it's even worse. Now my husband now does the laundry because that was totally overwhelming to me. I think that happened so much that he was probably just sick of wasting detergent.
Right.
And he knew that. I mean, why is that so hard? But it happened all the time.
It happens to me too.
Me too.
All the time.
I just did that before I came here, so
Yeah.
I just thought I would
I've
ask.
done that today too. I've done that
Oh,
today
yeah,
too.
you're not alone. Not at all. I
Oh,
think
goodness.
everybody does it. But no, now he actually does the laundry, which is probably the biggest help of anything.
I say all the
That's
time, if I
huge.
had someone to do my laundry, it would change my life.
Oh, it has. I really recommend that husbands do laundry because
There you
it
go.
changes
Thank you to all the husbands listening.
Right, all
Yeah.
2, 1, 2, our husbands.
2
Well,
of them.
probably 3,
2
because
our
your husband may
husbands
listen to
listening.
this today. But
So
There
good
you
job.
go.
Good job, Chops.
Exactly.
So tell us about the Fellowshop and how did that begin?
So the Fellowshop is I make and sell teething toys for babies and teething necklaces for moms. Well, I mean the teething necklaces that the moms wear are obviously for the babies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I started doing that not very long ago, and that was kind of born out of a season where God had just been he'd been showing my husband and me just over the course of a couple of years, just the need in our community and around the world as far as orphan care goes. And it had started as this really broad but very distant need, and just over the course of the last couple of years, and really sort of intensified over the last year, he brought that need closer to home in a lot of different ways. And as that happened, and as we saw the church's biblical role in that, we really wanted to be a part of that. We wanted to do what we were scripturally supposed to do and what God was specifically calling us to do. And as we pursued that, a big part of it is what we found was that there were a lot of existing ministries that were really active in orphan care and in foster care and in orphan care prevention. And we wanted to support them. We didn't feel like we needed to reinvent the wheel or anything like that. But the Fellowshop was I started doing that sort of in the hopes of being able to help fund these ministries that were already kind of doing the hard work on the front lines. And also, while the funding them has been a good part, one of the big things I wanted to do was to just sort of be a piece of the puzzle in educating the local church.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that it's that people don't care. I think they do. But I think they don't know.
Right.
I didn't know. I didn't know a lot of the things that we've learned until very recently. So this has just been a really quick and really intense season, but that kind of was born out of that.
So Annie, you're a stay-at-home mom. Well, I say stay-at-home. I mean, you're a work-at-home mom.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And you homeschool, correct?
I do homeschool. That was never part of the plan.
I don't think it's ever anybody's plan.
No, I don't think so either. Actually, none of this was part of the plan. But we did start homeschooling with our first, and we weren't really sure how long we would do it, and that is still where we are, just not sure how long. this will be what we do. But it's been great so far. It's been hard so far.
Yeah.
And I think that we're just kind of taking it a year at a time. But I've really enjoyed it. My mom helps me with it a lot, and we found some great community in it. So yeah, it's not what I experienced growing up, and it's not what I envisioned that we would do, but it's actually worked really well for our family. So I'm really thankful for it.
So does that free you up to be able to be more involved in the orphan care ministry and that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it does, and one of the reasons that we kind of wanted to homeschool was I really wanted whatever ministry God called us to. I wanted it to be a family ministry. I didn't want it to just be something that I did or that my husband did or that we did separate from the kids, but we wanted it to be something that they could kind of be in it with us. And what's been kind of neat, especially about the Fellowshop, is the things that I'm making they're really simple. There's nothing really complicated about it, and my kids help. So my oldest, Essie, she sits down with me and she'll make necklaces with me, and it's an opportunity. She can do patterns, and so we can kind of even bring a little bit of school into it. But it's been a neat way for them to be involved too. And I think if we were doing, I know that God would make it possible if we were doing whatever, but with homeschooling, it has given us a whole lot more time to be home and be flexible, because when I take the teething toys, like if I need to take them to drop them off at a store or go meet somebody who's bought one, it's so nice that it can just kind of be whatever their time schedule is, and we can make it work on our end. So it's good.
All right, so changing gears just a little bit, what does home mean to you?
That's sort of I feel like that's a convicting question, because I have to go through all the things that home has been before. And I think it's pretty easy with Instagram and Pinterest for home to become kind of an idol. I think that it can, especially if you really love things to look a certain way, it's pretty easy to kind of obsess over that and to make it a place where you sort of want to showcase what you have instead of just enjoy and be so thankful for what you have. And that's been something that I think that over the last few years, especially with having children and having no choice but to learn how to be wise. But now I think that at home is sort of a place of stewardship, and I think that it's where we can steward what God has given us for His glory. And I think that can mean a lot of things. I think it's taking the physical space that He's given us and choosing how we'll welcome people into that, and we'll minister to them here. And I think it's taking your table and deciding how you're going to serve your family and how you're going to serve your guests. And I think it's looking at your children and deciding how you're going to use your time with them. And I think that it's taking the things that God has given you a gift for, like creativity, and using that wisely and using that for His glory. I think that was sort of it took a long time, but it was a perspective shift for me to sort of get to the place where I recognize that home really is a place of stewardship, and it's an opportunity to bring glory to God.
We ask that to everyone, and we always get something different.
I know, I love that.
Yeah.
We do. We ask pretty much everybody that. No one's ever said the same thing.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I like to take a little piece of everybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is something that
is good.
Yeah.
I love
Sandy?
it. Yeah.
Okay, so you recently did a remodel, speaking of your home, and in your living room, is that where it was? We saw some pictures on your Instagram.
So back up just a little bit to where we, when we moved into this house. So we bought the house about a little over a year ago, and we loved it. I mean, it was beautiful, and there were so many things about that we loved. There were some things about that we didn't love. So like the kitchen cabinets were red, and the walls were kind of a blue, and the countertops were gray. And so I remember the first time my brother walked in, his first words were "Roll Tide." And, so we had to go back and paint. And so we did the kitchen, and that was, we realized that the paint made a big difference. And then I think we sort of started to see how this house could really start to kind of feel like our family. And then the living room was a really funky shape. It has like across from the fireplace, it has a rounded wall, and then so it's just difficult to put a couch in. But the way that the people who we bought it from had it set up was they had a couch that sort of had a curve to it, tucked in that little space. So in my mind, that was sort of what I envisioned. So we
Right.
found a couch that we liked that would work there, and we thought that was sort of the only setup. And then I guess it was about a week ago, we were drinking coffee and sitting in the living room, and I said, "What if we kind of moved this around and did couches on the sides of the fireplace and brought chairs over here?" Anyway, we had the idea. I think it was Friday morning, and by Sunday morning, it was complete. We had just knocked it out, and it's kind of funny because when we start doing something like that and you have to have your rooms kind of upside down to move the furniture, with 4 kids, you can't live in limbo, right? You have to
Right.
once you start, you can't stop until it's finished. So it was really quick. We did not, we didn't spend a lot of time thinking it through, but it ended up just being a matter of moving furniture around and painting the walls, and it lightened up everything, and it finally gave us this family room, because before it had felt really closed off, and it was not very conducive to having a lot of people in there. And I think that every single day that we've walked in there, somebody in our family will say, "This is my favorite room," because it's just the kids can, they can be on the floor and play, and it just feels like so much more space. But it was definitely a reminder that sometimes you just have to kind of rethink the configuration of the furniture, and it makes a huge difference. It definitely did in that room.
Yeah, right. So, Annie, how would you describe your style?
So I think that what I love is kind of like a farmhouse or traditional kind of style, but I think I've landed somewhere between, like, I think I'd probably just have to call it kid-friendly farmhouse, because it's got to, it can't be that pretty white, bright look. It definitely has to have some color to hide some stains, and some storage solutions that maybe you wouldn't have if you didn't have piles of toys. But yeah, I think it's probably, I'll go with kid-friendly farmhouse.
Okay. I know that I see, like, you use a lot of neutrals, and, like, I love your little buffalo check pillows that are behind you right now. But then you've got quirky little pieces like the little pig that's so cute on one of your walls. So that's really fun.
Yeah, I think it's sort of evolved too. I think it will always evolve, but definitely.
Oh, it should always evolve as you evolve. That's fun. Yeah.
I think so too.
So do you feel like decorating or design comes natural to you?
I think that it has started to, but it didn't for a long time. I think at first, like when I look back at pictures of our first couple of houses or the first couple attempts to decorate the house, I think I've learned through a lot of trial and error, emphasis on error. One thing that I learned was that looking at pictures I love to look at pictures of other homes and just kind of see how they made things work and how they arranged things and how they maybe brought something in that I wouldn't have thought to put in a room. And I really enjoy that. And so I think the more I did that, it didn't teach me just like to go make a room just like that one, but it would sort of show me what colors worked really well together and how you could brighten up a room and still have it be functional. And so I think that I don't think that it came naturally to me, but I think that it was something that I learned fairly easily.
Yeah.
And so I figured out how to start the process. It started to come a little bit more naturally.
And I think that's the hardest part, is just starting.
Yeah.
I think so many people get stuck there for years even. Yeah. And so once you just start moving stuff in, you realize, oh, I like that. Right. That wasn't so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to kind of think outside of the box, like you said, with instead of like duplicating a look or a style, then you start to go, oh, well, they used that dresser for a whatever, and I have a dresser. And then you like see something and you think, well, that could actually work for this, and it just helps you to kind of think outside of the box of what seems to be normal. So
Exactly.
What advice would you give to a mom with kids who's like, it's just too much, like I can't make my house look perfect, like you're saying, like it's going to be messy, there's going to be stains, and so I just don't even want to try. What advice would you give to her?
I think I would say start with a really good clean out. Get rid of the things you don't need. That's probably the thing that has made the biggest difference for us, is just learning to get rid of things or to share with other people the things that we don't need anymore. Right. And that frees up storage. So all the toys that you are going to have and you can't do anything about it.
Right.
That'll free up a place to put it. And then I would say with storage, get creative. I found these great little, I can't remember the name of the company. I think it was something creative. I'll have to look it up. Maybe like CT Creative. But they have these empty bean bags. They're like bean bags, and you zip them open, and you can put all of the stuffed animals and the blankets and things like that in the playroom in this one little thing, and it becomes a bean bag. So it's almost like a little chair for the kids. And that kind of thing makes a big difference because it takes it from being really cluttered to being pretty orderly, but you didn't do anything big or huge or, impractical. So I think storage is big. Any kind of creative storage is good. Things like hooks and baskets go a long way. And I would also say if you're trying to be content in the phase that you're in, but you really want your home to look a certain way, use pictures from whether it's Instagram or Pinterest or wherever. Use it on the inspiration end, but then once you've got your room done, don't keep looking at those pictures because they're great for inspiration, but they're not a measuring stick. And I think that's something that we all kind of battle is after you're finished with a room, it's easy to look through pictures again and go, oh, I kind of missed the mark. But really, that's not, you probably didn't. It's probably great, and it's probably really reflective of your family, but it's just easy to compare. And so I think don't get rid of the pictures. They're helpful on the front end, but once you're done, just enjoy it.
Yeah, just be content with what you have.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
So, on the subject of contentment, what is one thing in your house right now that you're just really loving?
I'd have to say the living room. That is one thing. It made such a difference because the kids can they'll bring their pillows and blankets in and they'll all have, like a movie night or they'll play their card games and they have the space to do it. And it made such a difference because that was one of the few rooms that I felt like turned out to be totally functional, but it did look the way that I was hoping it would. So that was a big win for me.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so that's probably our favorite spot right now.
Yeah.
Now that we talked about contentment on the opposite end of the scale, is there any part of your house that you're wanting to change right now?
Yes. So we are starting a bathroom remodel in a few weeks. Out of all of the bathrooms in our house, there's only one bathtub, and it's this really tiny clawfoot tub. It's like made for a child. I can't even really explain it. But it is not cutting it. We need a bathtub. So we are going to redo a bathroom in the next couple of weeks, and then we've talked about a few things, but mostly at this point, I think the next phase will just be building a good deck because I think the more outside living we can do, I think the kids love it, and we do too. I think it kind of makes everything feel just a little bit better when you can go outside and eat a meal on a deck or something like that.
Right.
So that's our next thing is probably the bathroom and the deck, but I think we're always working on a project.
Yeah.
There's always something, right?
Yeah. Well, and some families more than others, we're that way too because we enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, then don't feel like you always have to have something going. But if it's something that's fun for you and your spouse to do together, then
Yeah, I know, and we do. We love it. That's one of our favorite things, I think, is a home project.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting is we read off on our New Year's episode what the trends for the upcoming year were, and one of them was spa-like bathrooms. We always do a poll to ask people yes or no, and there were 3 people who said
no,
they don't like spa-like bathrooms. That just blew our mind. We're like, who doesn't want their bathroom to feel like a spa? I don't know. It's just
yeah, I'm on the yes end of that.
Yeah, because when we read that, we were like,
who doesn't want to buy?
How is that? That's not trendy. That's just
not a trend. That's just
always, right? That's always been the goal.
I know.
Anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. Spa-like bathroom sounds amazing.
We were surprised by some of the response to that.
Right. If I could have a big soaker tub.
I don't think jets.
No, I don't think
get
the jets.
yucky.
Yeah, because you have to clean those.
They get mildew on them.
Gross.
A big soaker tub with a TV.
Yeah.
And
a little table for a book. And
yes.
a candle.
I would leave the bathroom.
I would not.
If
it could be a pulpit, but
right.
Where your book
where your book is held up. Yeah, I'm telling you, that would be
look,
where
see if
it's
you
at.
can build one of those in your new bathroom, a little pulpit to fit on the side of your bathtub.
For your books.
Because it doesn't need to lay down. It needs to be propped up.
Right.
Like your Bible.
Yeah.
That is so smart.
Maybe that could be our first Passionist Designs item.
Yeah, furniture piece. We're gonna.
I'll be your customer for that. Absolutely. I love that.
Do you have a favorite place, like a favorite shop?
A local shop or an Instagram shop or Etsy or.
Yeah, so I love. There are two that are kind of out towards our house that I love. So I love Laci May's. That's always a really fun one for gifts or for clothes, and Meggie B's. I think I spend way too much time in both of those, but that's one thing that we've actually really loved about moving this far west of Mobile. It's given us those two great little shops, and we're not far from Lucedale, which is probably my favorite place to go shopping.
Yeah.
And our listeners of the podcast know about Lucedale. So we had the ladies of Main Street. All three of them. Yeah.
And we great little stores.
They do. Yes. I know that Meggie B's is really active on Instagram. You can buy things.
They also
I don't know about
ship.
Laci May's, but so we'll put them in the show notes if anyone listens. Because Meggie B's always does have the best.
And also Laci May's is great with monograms.
Yes, I don't know if they do that like from a distance, but we
for local people, that's whenever I go to when we were in West Mobile for monogram.
They've done many monogram towels and things for us for people's houses. So.
They do a great job.
Okay, so where can people find you on the internet?
Okay, so it's on Instagram at the Fellowshop, and it is just like it sounds, at the Fellowshop. That's the easiest way. There's the link to the little shop is through you can find that on my Instagram, but for the most part, the easiest way to order anything is just through messaging me on Instagram, because that way you can tell me the colors you want and the shape you want for the teether, and it's just easier that way.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Annie, for first of all for what you're doing, because we are inspired. You're a busy mom of 4 who homeschools, and you're still doing something, and that matters. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And then also,
thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for talking to us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and it was great to talk to y'all.
Yeah, you too. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Annie.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
We're so thankful for Annie and for her coming and talk with us, and then also just all of the work that she does in our city for the least of these, like April was saying earlier. We had a really good conversation with her about some different local ministries that you can plug into if you're not in a place to be able to adopt right now but would like to help out. And unfortunately, we had to cut that for time. And so we're going to really quick just run through some of the organizations she suggested, and then also some of our favorites. The first one is a local organization, and it helps with orphan care prevention. And it is our local Alabama Baptist Children's Home has started a family care center where they're housing some mothers and their children while they get on their feet, so that the children are not having to go into foster care.
Right.
Which is wonderful.
Right. Well, and one of the things that we talked about is that orphan prevention and caring in that way is orphan care. Absolutely. Because you are breaking the cycle. Mm-hmm. And one of the things internationally that is a great organization that Annie talked about how they love and they've sponsored children through is Compassion International. Mm-hmm. And we've also had some relationship with Compassion before. And once again, Compassion goes into these underdeveloped towns, and they set up what at first, when you first hear about it, you're like, well, these kids have families. Mm-hmm. But the great thing is that they are helping these people to get a trade, to get viable resources in their communities, teaching them and giving them resources to have sustainable income and those kind of things, so that these children are not orphaned, so their parents are not pressed to make a decision to have to give their children up just for them to be able to get a meal. Right. And so Compassion is an amazing organization. Also, they are boots on the ground, and they also will keep you in contact with your child. And I know many people who have gone and met the child that they sponsor, because I know some organizations that can get a little a little sketchy of like, well, am I actually sponsoring this child? But compassion is very on the up and up. And if your family that you're sponsoring gets fully taken care of, then they'll send you a letter and say, you know, they are now doing well. And here's another family that maybe you would consider sponsoring, but the family that you were sponsoring is now on their feet. And so even in that way, like, I can really respect what they're doing. And I think that it's an incredible organization. So that's a great way to get involved, once again, in the prevention side of orphan care.
Right. And it actually doesn't cost that much.
No, it doesn't.
Our American pockets. We are not wealthy people over here, and we sponsor a child, and it doesn't hurt us at all. But across the world, it makes a really big difference. So we'll put a link in our show notes to all these organizations too. If you're interested in them, you'll be able to go look for them. Another thing we were going to talk about is foster care. And if you are not in a place to be a foster parent, but you want to be able to plug into your community, look and see if you have an organization locally called the Forgotten Initiative. They're all over the country. And that is like your go-to people if you want to know how to plug into foster care.
Right. And anything that I've been able to think of like, I wish someone would do this for children who are in foster care. The Forgotten Initiative somewhere, even if it's not locally, but it depends on how active your local organization is, but they are doing it. They are providing prom dresses for girls. They are doing the things that, like, you think is a far off thought. Someone has already thought about it and has a system in place. And so it's really great to not try to reinvent the wheel in that way and get plugged in with them.
Yes. And then some just nationwide organizations that I love. One is Unadopted, and it is through Lifeline Children's Services, which is the adoption agency that we use. And they're in countries all over the world caring for kids who are orphans, who are aging out, who are not going to be able to get adopted, and trying to keep them off the streets once they are let out of the orphanages.
Right.
And so that is such an important work. And they're making sure that they have counseling, and they're trying to help make sure they have some sort of trade, and they're trying to mentor them the first few years whenever they're on their own. And so we really love them. Another one is Show Hope, and that was started by Stephen and Mary Beth Chapman. And they give adopting families grants. We were blessed by them with a grant, but they also have care centers where they are caring for special needs orphans in China, which they're just doing some great work. And then
Right. You know, if you are around people who do feel called to fostering or to adoption, rally alongside them.
Yes.
It can go a really long way. One of the things Annie was mentioning is go through the classes and be available for respite care or babysitting. Also, just taking a meal or providing for a date night for a couple, or even giving the children clothes or toys as they need them, and helping with Christmas or whatever that looks like. Those are ways to be involved in orphan care and foster care, even if you specifically are not in a place that you can foster or adopt at this time. We all have a role to play, and we have to help hold up the arms of those who are doing the work, even when we can't physically do it at this point in our lives. And a dinner goes a long way.
It does. Right? It absolutely does. I know whenever we got home from Columbia with Maisie, our church fed us for probably a month. And it was not a day too long, you know.
Right.
We were still trying to keep our heads above water, and that made a big difference. And we're just thankful to Annie for coming on here and kind of starting this conversation. We'd be remiss if we talk about homes and how to make homes look pretty every week, and we did not mention this, which we're so passionate about. And
you know, and I will say that Bayleigh even pushes me in this a lot of times, but something that the Lord is constantly bringing to my heart and my mind is that there are a lot of people without a home.
Yeah.
And we want to, and I think I even said this to Annie, I don't know if it made the cut, but that we want to do for one what we could do for many.
Yes.
And so if each one of us, and we have a few hundred listeners, and we hope that that's going to grow, but if each one of us will do for one what we wish we could do for so many, then we really will make a difference. And it feels like your offering is so small, but when we all work together, it really will change the lives of a lot of people. And so we invite you guys to be a part of that. And I think it's a really cool thing.
Yep. And if you have any questions or you hear what we're saying and you just want to dig a little bit deeper and you don't know where to go, feel free to message us on Instagram. We would love to talk with you about this. We are on Instagram at Nestled Podcasts. And our website is poshnestdesigns.com. You can get to our email through that. And so
Right. We would love to continue the conversation, and we don't have all the answers, but we can definitely help you find the right people.
That's right.
To help you do whatever you feel called to do.
That's right. And so thank you guys for listening again. We just feel so blessed every week when we see numbers going up and we're like, people are actually listening to what we have to say.
We absolutely love engaging with you guys on Instagram after the podcast. It's one of our favorite things. We look forward to it every week.
Yes.
And we have some really fun things coming up and some great interviews. And so we can't wait to share those with you guys. And we hope that you enjoyed our interview with Annie today.
Y'all have a good week and stay warm.
Stay warm and well.
Yes, and well. Wear your masks. Yes. And wash your hands.
Absolutely.
All right, bye.
Bye.